Salutations, fellow podcast enjoyers. The chronological date is upon us once again to commence the show. So I will humbly ask that you close any outstanding subreddit moderation tickets, and please undo all wedgies. You are listening to Super Despair World, the #1 most gifted podcast, according to my mom, and the school counselor, Miss Atkins, who has generously provided us with this storage closet from which we are currently recording. We could not do the show without spaces like this, much ado to the pernicious meddling of our, let's say, Neanderthalic peers. There are some other invaluable things to this whole operation, of which my associate Dave will now inform you of.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. I'm in awe of your intellect. I feel Neanderthalic in comparison. I'm stumbling over my words.
Truly enlightened by the blessing of my own intellect and not some false god, if I say so myself.
Yes, flying spaghetti monster much for great justice. Yeah, indeed.
Yes.
Well, yeah. If you are an enlightened, high IQ individual like us, you may be interested in joining our Discord, where you can also hang out with high IQ, like-minded individuals and discuss such topics as, eugenics and phrenology, skull measuring, and other things.
We are presently seeking female members in particular, so please sign up for the Discord now.
Yes. Females, please join us. There's only gentlemen in this in this community, so
Dave, don't tell them that.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, there are there's no, it's cool. Yeah, come in there. It's free. Only if you're very intelligent. And we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/superdespairworld. And since you are clearly a high IQ individual and a contributing member of society, you probably have a bunch of extra money that you're wondering what to do with. And if you want to be a patron of us, just like the aristocrats of yore, which were all high IQ individuals, and that's why they had their station in life, you can join us and donate a sinister $6 to keep the lights on in the storage closet. We do have to pay Miss Atkins a little bit of money just to use this closet. It's not a lot, but it's we're both destitute because society,
It's a most cromulent investment, I think you will find.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard for intelligent gentle sirs out there.
Truly the weight of the world is upon our shoulders. It's quite the burden we have to bear.
Yes, exactly. So go do that, and you can join the Patreon for free. But really, give us your neat bucks. We need your neat bucks. Neat bucks now.
Yes, and your AOL handle. I would love to exchange some messages with some women of the intelligent persuasion.
Yes, preferably 5 IQ points below mine. But if you like Rick and Morty, that's a big plus.
Yeah. How unbearable would it be if I did the fucking nerd voice for this entire episode?
I think some people would definitely unsubscribe from the pod.
Yeah, okay. I've removed the gun from my temple, and now we can get on with the show as usual. Okay, guys, we're getting straight into it today. We're talking about some very high IQ individuals, some that have been with us for a long time. I feel like I've heard about this group for I don't know, ever since I was a kid. I feel like it must have been mentioned in a cartoon or maybe at school at some point. We're talking about Mensa today. Mensa. What is Mensa, Dave?
Men's
Mensa?
What about woman's?
In the male?
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Okay, I'm seeing
What?
patterns here. I must have an incredibly high IQ. I'm really good at puzzles. But yeah, Mensa is a what the fuck? What is? It's a high IQ society, basically. Which don't get it twisted. I mean, the implication is that if you have a high IQ, you are an intelligent, gentle sir, probably a Reddit moderator, and probably very good at doing important things, such as I don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah, Mensa is an organization. It was founded in the UK because, of course, all the worst things in the world come from England.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start off with this. I did a little bit of research, and by that I mean I read the Wikipedia page, at least half of it, and I thought I'd share a little bit of their history here. The history of Mensa, blah, blah, blah. Australian Roland Barrell and Lancelot Ware, most British name I've ever heard.
Yes.
A British scientist and lawyer, founded Mensa at Lincoln College in Oxford, England in 1946 with the intention of forming a society for the most intelligent, with the only qualification being a high IQ, which, I don't know, I feel like maybe you guys should have like at least a few other qualifications, maybe like, I don't know, bathing standards, or like pass a test where you like talk to a woman for like 10 minutes or something like that.
Well, that would disqualify, I'm pretty sure, most of the potential members, but go on.
Well, that would just make it a more exclusive society, but I digress.
wait, but also I'm wondering, was Lancelot, is Lancelot a real name, or was this person named after like the character in the King Arthur story?
No, it's a real name as far as I know.
So it's been around before King Arthur.
Maybe, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. My IQ is not high, so you can't really trust everything that comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, we need some high IQ British historians to tell me about Lancelot, and I mean it's a whimsical name. I'm not gonna.
It's a little old-fashioned, but regardless, let's get into the other part of the history, which I think is it's a little bit funny to me. So it says here, the society was ostensibly to be non-political in its aims and free from all other social distinctions, such as race and religion. However, Barrell and Ware were both disappointed with the resulting society. Barrell had intended Mensa to be an aristocracy of the intellect, and was unhappy that the majority of members came from working or lower-class homes, while Ware said, "I do get disappointed that so many members spend so much time solving puzzles."
Wow, that's crazy.
What did you expect?
Well, that belies their idea of this, like, right off the bat, is that like, you're high IQ, well, you must be descended from royalty, because we truly live in a meritocracy, right, where only the intelligent people are like high class, and the lower classes, well, they just dig tunnels and drive a trolley and pick up garbage and all of these other lowly things.
So, like, Dave, I feel like both of us being on this side of the Atlantic, that's very easy for us to say. But I don't know if they had this, like, very, like, American, like, libertarian, maybe, sort of, like, meritocracy sort of thing in mind. Because we are talking about, like, two, like, kind of upper crust, like, British / Australian whatever dudes in the 1940s. So I feel like when one of them talks about like, oh, this aristocracy of the elite, I feel like he was disappointed because he was expecting like, oh, surely a test that measures people's IQs would only be passed by like the most upper crust motherfuckers to begin with, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I mean, it really shows that, like, well, yeah, that's not the case. But I mean, to believe in the fact that, like, the divine right of kings, and that, like, yeah, if you're a lord, you're clearly like a better and smarter and more cunning person than your vassal, and then their peasants underneath them are just like way lower than them. That, like, you have to have that mindset to believe in that type of system. And yeah, to see that that's not true verifiably by their standards, at least, is
it's just extra funny to consider that some of the like founding members of Mensa, once they opened it up to the public, might have just been like Barry 63 from the local tavern, who just spends his whole time like doing little crossword puzzles, like,
yeah,
I do say this really is quite smashing, this really is splendid. You know,
wow. Yeah. Yeah, champion puzzle guy at the pub. Yeah, he's
finally
ready for Mensa.
He's finally found a home of his enlightened peers where he can fit in and belong with other people.
We only want the top intelligent people in the planet around us. Wait, no, not like that. Only lords and ladies. Oh, wait, you're all dumb? Shit. Fuck.
I don't know how they felt about ladies back then, but I will say I also took a little bit of a peek at the like modern day Mensa International website, and it's pretty like fucking bog standard. It's some kind of like nonprofit sort of thing. Pretty boring website. It has like a home, about us, join us, contact, whatever. But one of the little things in the top banner caught my eye. It says in all caps and like early 2000s like leet speak with numbers. It says, "Are you Mensa?"
Yeah, I saw that.
It has some interesting categories. It has what is IQ? It's mostly bullshit. It has an IQ test and FAQs, which I did not read. It has genes and environment, which I think, you know, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a page that says, "Is my child gifted?" Which,
yeah.
We'll have a bit to say about the whole
indigo
gifted
children.
Yeah, the indigo children.
They should have a thing where they send you in the mail like a set of skull calipers, and they're just like, "Are you just for curiosity, please measure your forebrain area and your."
Yeah, with a handy little like for kids instruction manual to how to do phrenology. And here's the last link, which really caught my eye. Below is my child gifted. This link just says, "I am exceptional."
Oh, yes. Okay.
So I guess that I did take a little bit of a peek at that. I guess it's like a page for if you are the gifted kid or whatever. And lastly, they have a page that says, "Take the IQ challenge," and then in all caps, "free." Did you take this, Dave?
So I took that one. And I got so bored halfway in that I just started putting random things in there. So I forget what my result was, but it was definitely not accurate.
I did take the full thing before we started recording, and I don't know if this is like peeling back the curtain a little bit too much. I will say tonight, if I seem any different at all, it's because I'm a little bit tipsy off of some homemade flower booze that my aunt made by picking plants off the side of the highway. It's good stuff. It's very sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Briar's drinking bathtub hooch, and I'm having a Coors banquet. God
yeah,
damn
there we go. Yeah, so I will say
we're true champions of the working class.
Yeah. We would be very at home in 1940s Mensa. Okay, so where was I? Okay, yes, I took the IQ test before we started recording, and I will say I'm a little bit tipsy, and I did kind of just like take some random guesses on those last couple of questions. It says I have an IQ of 107, which is only the 68th percentile. But I will say it said there's like a deviance of up to 15%. So I will say like 107 plus 15, that's like 122. I think I'm pretty exceptional. I think they'll recognize my genius in time.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so you heard it here first, folks. Briar's a brainlet. I took a different IQ test before, and like I think online IQ tests are probably bullshit. I should mention now
that the test that I took, it was 100% just like pattern recognition. It's like, here's 2 rows of shapes and images. Pick the third one that's supposed to whatever.
Yeah,
it's so dumb.
Yeah, for sure. The one that I took had more things where it was like, there's more language and like in reasoning. It was like if Jane is 7 and her daughter is 12, but like also I have more experience with that shit because there are questions on these other bullshit tests that I have taught before where the classic like SAT question of like Jane is 7 and her sister is twice her age -5 and her mother is half of her age plus 50. Like, how old is Jane? And
how like fast is a swallow traveling southwest from Cairo, Egypt, if it's an African swallow, whatever, that whole bullshit.
Yeah, I just die instantly. Yeah, but that's actually how I used to frame those questions to my students, because they'd be like, why would I ever have to do this? And I was like, well, and usually like they'll ask me something like, why would I care about like geometry and angles and stuff? I was like, well, I like build stuff and like do design work, and like some of this stuff is like actually very useful later in life. But with stuff like that, I was like, well, there is a chance that you will come to an enchanted bridge and a troll will be there and ask you 3 questions, and either you could get their pot of treasure, or you could be stabbed in the throat immediately with a dagger.
I'm so glad that you brought up this example, because as you were listing all those like complicated, like, if this person is this other person's son-in-law and they're married to whatever, and I thought, okay, what are those complicated like word things testing? And it hit me, oh yeah, that's just what you need to understand like higher level spells in D&D. That's all it is. This is a vital skill.
Right. That's exactly it. I don't remember what I got on that one though. I think it was like a 116 or a 119 or something. But like again, I mean, that test in particular is probably bullshit. I mean, the test in general is probably bullshit. I forget where that stood on the bell curve, but it was like at 80th or something like that. But I wouldn't say that I'm smarter than 80% of people out there. It's really a test of like pattern recognition and like and that's pretty much it, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like in the whole run of the show so far, I think we've at least brought up IQ tests at least once in the past, and ultimately it's like the IQ test is really only good at measuring like how well you do on the IQ test. It's like the same person can take it at different times of day and get like a radically different score. Your IQ test can jump up like as much as like 20 points if you spend like one afternoon studying for it or something like that. It's really, I don't know. There's a pretty like nasty history of like, people using like IQ to as a justification for like scientific racism, or being like,
absolutely,
Black Americans, look, they're really dumb because we made them take this IQ test without studying for it and whatever. And it's just it's a whole fucked up thing.
Right. So 2 points with that. Like the first one, the IQ thing is like, it's pretty well regarded in the actual scientific community of like the modern years that like, yes, IQ does measure something, but we don't really know what it is. And Most likely, it's probably just how good you are at taking the IQ test.
Yeah,
but yeah,
something like that.
but
I will
like,
say, yeah, guys, we're talking mainly about Mensa today, but I will say, just while I was on Wikipedia looking at other high IQ societies, there's like a whole like fucking like Pokemon Elite Four league of like even more advanced IQ societies
yes.
above Mensa. Stay tuned for the next bonus episode because we'll dive into that there. But for today, we're gonna be a little more locked in, a little more focused on Mensa specifically.
Right. Yeah, I do know also that the guy who made the SAT also like used that as a way to say like, well, as race mixing becomes more prevalent, we'll see a decline in the scores of this. So basically, I mean, this it's pretty obvious, but the people who made these are fucking weird. They're obsessed with like turning everybody's selfhood as a human being into a little tidy score that says how valuable they are as a brain in society, I guess.
There's like a whole category of people, and by people I mean let's not kid ourselves. It's mostly a type of guy here who is like,
yes,
for them they perceive like the depth of their brain kind of the same way they measure like the length of their cock, right? It's like for guys who are not blessed with like a big dick, they're like, well, at least I have a big brain that someday the milady will appreciate me for. And I feel like this is like just the core truth at the heart of how a lot of quote unquote very high IQ intelligent people see themselves.
Well, it's like RPG logic where it's like I'm not big and strong, so I must be smart, or I'm very smart, so I can't be big and strong. And it's like, nah, man, you could be both or neither. There's plenty of people who do that. Don't limit yourself thinking you need to like min-max one category of life. I guess that's
it's truly like shaken up a lot of different nerd fandoms when like a lot of the more like archetypical nerdy sort of guys realize like, oh no, there are people who are like into my nerdy hobby who are like also smart and attractive and successful, and that just like destroys them.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't fit into this. Yeah.
I brought up like D&D earlier, and I feel like, you know, in tabletop RPGs, this is like the big clash of like personalities in the hobby. You have like the really nerdy antisocial guys who are like, oh, I like this hobby because it's like a video game and I get to like calculate the most powerful character or whatever.
Right.
And then you have other people who are into it because they're, you know, they're just like theater kids that like making up little stories and being like the gay little tiefling warlock or some shit.
Right,
and
right.
like these two groups like just do not get along whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm more of the second category, where I could tell that the min-max calculator people would get annoyed with me.
Yeah, I do both. So I'm truly the worst of both worlds, where I play the tiefling warlock, but I'm also the highest damage dealer in my party every round.
Well, great.
Yes.
Yes.
Indubitably. Excelsior.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. There was a thing we were going to get into today, and you introduced me to this, so I'll let you pitch it to the audience.
Yeah. So when we had the idea for this episode, I was like, man, I want to take the Mensa IQ test and like maybe I would get in the highest rung, so I could infiltrate the society. And
I don't think either of us made the cut.
Nah, no, I don't think I'm that good at that test, but I was like, well, yeah, it would be cool to like infiltrate the society and like see what actually goes on there, the nefarious underbelly of Mensa. But obviously that didn't pan out because of, you know, first of all, I don't think I could get a high enough score on that test, and also like I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. The fucking 5G signals made me too much of a big dumb bimbo to get into Mensa. So we'll have to be peering in from the outside.
I could have done it before I destroyed my brain with alcohol for the past 10 years. But God damn it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because somebody else did this, and I found a quaint little article called "Talk Nerdy to Me: My Year in Mensa," and this is in the Washingtonian, and this is written by Sophie Gilbert. So this is a little deep dive into somebody who did the same thing. A little bit of investigative journalism, infiltrated Mensa.
I don't know if it's the author Sophie Gilbert who's in the photo at the top there, but I will say that girl kind of looks a little bit like Zooey Deschanel doing the thinking pose.
Yes.
I think that's very, very charming. There's a little Mensa mug. I wonder if you can just buy the Mensa mug, or if you have to be a member to get that mug.
So funnily enough, both of those questions or comments are answered in this.
Oh hell yeah!
In this article. So I'm gonna get into this. I'm just gonna read through this article. It's not too long, and I'm gonna pause at certain points, and if there's anything that really strikes your fancy, feel free to chime in and opine on this. But
yeah, I think we can just do one paragraph at a time, because that's kind of how it's broken up. So.
Yes. Okay, cool. So,
take the wheel.
All right, I'm taking the wheel here. So it begins. The first thing you should know is that no one has a good reason for joining Mensa. Pretty much anyone who tries to join a high IQ society does so ultimately because he or she is an insufferable jerk. Maybe years of bullying for being a mathlete or wearing Argyle sweaters well into junior high has given the person an inferiority complex, or maybe he just wants a bumper sticker that lets everyone on I-95 know he's a genius. Either way, it's never for noble reasons, however hard someone might pretend otherwise. So right off the bat, just throwing shade on men.
This is very true, though. I feel like I'm not gonna shoot my entire shot right at the beginning here, but I feel like when we talk about smart/intelligent people, whatever, there's a whole archetype, a little trope that appears, an imaginary person in our head, and I feel I think we're gonna have some of our biases confirmed as we read into this.
Oh yeah, I absolutely. So it continues, my reasons for joining were as jerky as anyone's. I may have couched them by pretending it was all in the name of a good magazine story. I would infiltrate the society of geniuses and take readers inside their strange little world. But if I'm being honest, it was also about having something to prove. I wanted a Mensa mug and a pencil I could whip out during interviews to illustrate how bright I was. I wanted a membership card that I could accidentally flash while paying for my In Touch and Us Weekly at CVS. Most of all, I wanted affirmation, the kind that can make up for years of being rejected by elite universities and elite jobs and not so elite boyfriends. Who's the dumb one now?
Okay, when I hear her describe this experience of accidentally flashing a Mensa membership card, it just brings to mind, that one scene from Always Sunny where Frank whips out the condom. It's oops, there's my XL condom for my Magnum Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry, I dropped my Mensa mug out of my purse. Whoops.
Just carrying an entire mug in your purse. I don't know if women do that, Dave.
If you're in Mensa, you might just see.
If I'm carrying a mug in my purse, it's because I want to mug somebody in multiple senses of the word.
Now that would be a good use for the Mensa mug, is just bash some low IQ ape over the head.
I would truly put good money down for a Mensa mug if it was truly that indestructible, but I'm not gonna get one if it's a one-time use sort of thing like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I do have a -4 to my strength score because I put everything in intelligence, so maybe it'll be more durable than I thought.
Perhaps.
Indeed.
Indubitably. Yes.
Yes, quite.
So she continues. The answer, obviously, is me, because now I have to write about it and my experiences in the Metropolitan Washington chapter of Mensa, which, by the way, Metropolitan Washington chapter of Mensa has got to be probably the most insufferable fucking chapter of Mensa that there can possibly be.
I feel like it's got to be pretty
shit.
bad. Like, you just know they have a big crossover with like fucking. Wait, is this Washington D.C. or like
yes,
the state?
I'm pretty sure she's talking about Washington D.C.
Okay, well, if it's D.C., then I'm gonna say you just know everybody there is like the fucking like C-SPAN like political wonk as well, who's like obsessed with like numbers and charts and shit.
Yeah. In like, I think D.C. is a chill place, but just. Like, if you go to a bar there, you can definitely tell who is a normal person and who is just like some like intern at some like political think tank that just thinks they're like hot shit, or just some fucking wannabe lawyer or something. And they're
just like fucking skinwalkers, like hiding among us, just
Without
acting like
question.
regular people, but behind that mask there's nothing but numbers.
Oh yeah. So we're framing this is the Metropolitan Washington chapter of Mensa. We're the weirdest, most uncomfortable I've ever had, and that's including the time I posed for the cover of a pre-50 Shades of Grey fantasy S&M novel in 2001, and even the time I was an intern at Vogue. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Some of those like trashy like fantasy like monster fucker novel covers are actually pretty great though. I don't know.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Just like a lady posing in lingerie, and then they Photoshop in like the shittiest looking like 2004 CGI like werewolf man behind her. It's amazing. I love that shit.
Yeah. Well, all right, I'm going to read the next paragraph first. During my year as a Mensa member, I met a man sporting blonde ringlets, lipstick, and a full beard. A knight in a suit of armor with chainmail he made me touch. A man I'm fairly sure knows all the nuclear codes, and a borderline racist. I lost at cryptograms. I managed to get out of attending a hot tub party and chocolate orgy, and I left with the nagging suspicion that Mensa is where brilliant but very socially awkward people go to get laid. Get laid or play board games, whichever they're in the mood for. And okay, okay. The tone of this article reads as a cross between like a college acceptance essay by somebody who is told they were the best writer in their like AP 12 English class, and somebody with like a very inflated view of like what's actually interesting in their life and what is not.
I'm just really hung up on the person she mentions, a knight in a suit of armor with chainmail that he made me touch. Is that fucking Shadiversity? Was Shadiversity in Washington at this time?
Shit. Wow. Maybe, yeah. Holy shit.
I don't know.
Right.
That's a thing for another episode. I will say also, earlier I brought up the whole dichotomy of the two types of people that play D&D, and I feel like this Mensa meeting is already describing like that first type, like the really nerdy guys who just want to like optimize the character or something.
Yes.
This is where they go to get laid, because all the other people playing D&D, they just get laid at the Ren Fair like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a cool place to get laid. The Mensa meeting is probably where you have like the worst sex in your life.
If you want to like fondle somebody through like a layer of chainmail, just go to the Ren Fair. You don't have to apply for Mensa.
Yeah, well, get laid or play board games, whichever in the mood for. Well, or get laid. Well, get laid at the Ren Fair. Play board.
Are we gonna say anything about the chocolate orgy? I feel like that's also like a bit of a big thing that we're just kind of like brushing over.
A lot of this stuff is addressed in the. I haven't read this in a couple days, so I don't know if the chocolate orgy is mentioned again, but let's find out. When
they bring up hot tub party and chocolate orgy together, I feel like now I'm being like, okay, those are probably separate things. But when you first read that, I was like, are they just like fucking in like an oversized like fondue fountain or some shit?
Now that would be cool, but I don't think they're cool enough to do.
I think that's bad for your dick, guys. Don't do that. Anyway.
Yeah, all right. So it continues. These days, Mensa, a society for people whose IQs are in the 98th percentile, roughly 132 and over, is an odd amalgam of special interest groups, SIGs, food and drink oriented meetups, and regional websites that look as if they were coded in the earliest days of the internet. But when it was founded in 1946 by scientist Lancelot Ware and lawyer Ronald Barrell, the pair hoped it would become a United Nations-like organization that would save the world, or at least foster intelligent debate. Even in those early days, though, the jerky aspect was there, as Ware's obituary in The Economist attests. Barrell, an Australian expat living in England, had applied to study at Oxford University but had been rejected and had developed an unhealthy obsession with the institution. After serving as a chemist during World War II, Ware was a graduate student at Oxford. The two happened to strike up a conversation while sharing a train carriage. Yeah. So, well, yeah.
Okay, so a couple things when I hear this. First of all, the Australian guy Roland Barrell, when it says he developed like an unhealthy obsession with the institution, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of a pattern in history where you see like people like try to apply to one sort of thing and they get rejected, and that rejection just like kind of haunts them for like the rest of their lives, and they go down a dark road. I don't know if that necessarily happened with him, but I feel like, okay, like this is a red flag. This is how you get like a bit of a troubled individual. And I don't know if I need to name any specific examples of when this has happened.
Well, I think we all know what you're talking about, but
if you know, you know.
Yeah. But I think that's also like it shows like a sense of entitlement with these people. Just like, how dare you not let me into your institution where I will wage war against you for the rest of my life. I deserve to be in there, and now I will show you what a big mistake you made by invading Poland.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, so the thing is as well, I don't know, so I'm not super well versed in history or something, but I feel like over time universities have become more and more of just like, oh, this is just like some bullshit like hoop you have to jump through to like get a little certificate so you can have a job. Back in the 1940s, I feel like, is it safe to assume maybe people back then did genuinely just like apply to university to get like more knowledge about the world? Maybe it was like a bit more of a prestigious thing back then, like, oh, you're not good enough to be here, I guess you were just one of the unenlightened peasantry after all. You know?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean that could be a thing where like I mean, especially back then, you would have to have a family well off enough to, number one, pay for this education, and number two, for you to just, like, not be working for 4 years. So, like, if you're, like, working class in those times, you can't just, like, go to university. Like, who's paying for this and who's paying for, like, yeah, so you definitely need,
and not just... And not just any university. We're talking about fucking Oxford here, so, go figure.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if it was Oxford specifically, but I saw a really depressing, like, photo a couple years ago where it was like, oh, here's, like, all the graduating class of this, like, prestigious British university, and it was, like, nothing but, like, fucking people from, like, the House of Lords or, like, celebrities or, like, people who are, like, the sons of politicians or whatever, and it's like, wow, it really is, like, a fucking, like, incestuous little boys club of the fucking landed gentry or whatever in the UK.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's why there's such a pushback on like affirmative action in like Ivy League universities, because a lot of the people there, a lot of the like legacy alumni, they want it to just be this like elite place that the best of society hobnob at. And by best of society, they mean just, like connected people in their waspy fucking world of shitheads.
Yeah, not to date this episode too much with the news, but I saw some people posting on Twitter recently about like, oh, it's September, it's back to school season. That means Barron Trump is going to university for the first time, and everybody was doing little memes about like, oh, some like big titty goth girl is gonna like shake his entire world, and he's gonna become like the most like based woke motherfucker ever. And it was like, no, guys, don't get your hopes up. He's going to like, I think it's like New York University or some shit. It's like one of the most like fucking like upper crust, like wealthy ass colleges in New York or some shit.
Yeah, and he's probably gonna be an incel the entire time. So yeah,
we can only hope. Anyway, let's get back on track.
All right. So yeah, the two happen to strike up a conversation while sharing a train carriage. By the end of the journey, the two men, both lawyers, had formed a tentative interest in each other, the article said. They discussed cleverness. The Australian, Barrow, thought it could be measured by studying bumps in the head. Mr. Ware was a fan of intelligence tests and offered to give his new companion a test. The Australian did brilliantly well and was immensely pleased. No one had said he was clever before. Would it not be a splendid idea to bring together an aristocracy of gifted people to attend to the problems of the world?
There it is. There's the phrenology drop,
right,
guys.
Yeah, yes. The most intelligent people in the world, intelligence must be like bumps in your head. And then, like, yeah, so the guy takes this guy's bullshit fucking test, and he does well, and he's just like, yes, it is a good test. And, yes, everybody who does well on this test would be well-suited to run the world. Indeed.
I don't know what this says about me, but as you're narrating this whole, like, meeting experience or whatever between them, I'm just imagining it as, like, a fucking, like boys love, like, yaoi manga, whatever, where, like, the two of them are like alone on this train, and they take a liking to each other, but they're like a little like tsundere to start off with. And then he's like, I know a way to measure our intelligence, and he just like reaches out a hand and starts feeling the bumps of his skull, and he's like, yes, you're brilliant indeed, you'll do just fine, or something that.
Yeah, I'm sweating right now just thinking about that.
It's a shame that most people have not heard of these guys, because that would be fun to actually illustrate, but I don't know, maybe we'll do that someday. No, I'm not gonna draw this.
Yeah, hey guys, it would be good. Maybe somebody's done it.
Commission's open if you want it. Anyway.
All right, so it continues. Thus was Mensa founded, and that summary is as telling as any. An eccentric man with low self-esteem finds out he's good at puzzles, and a lifetime of grandiosity ensues. Barrel died in 1961, but Ware, after leaving the group for a short time, resumed a leadership position in the organization. I found that people of high intelligence were people I had an easy rapport with. He was quoted as saying in his New York Times obit, which concludes, Mensa was still an organization in search of a purpose, and to some degree remains so today.
I can only wonder what that purpose might be, and why they haven't found it yet, considering how smart they are.
Oh, yeah. All right, so it goes on. I hit upon the idea of joining Mensa while reading the Wikipedia page of the actress Glenn Hadley. You may know her from ER or Monk or Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but for me, she'll always be Tess Trueheart from the 1990 movie Dick Tracy. She was also married to John Malkovich for a time. Hadley was once a Mensa member. About a year ago, that factoid piqued my interest/ego, and soon I was on the American Mensa webpage paying $18 to take an online home test. It was 110 degrees outside, and I was bored. The 40-minute quiz, which has no official standing other than to tell you you're probably not smart enough to be a Mensan without having to schlep to the suburbs to take a real test, includes math, problem solving, and a question about what relation Jane is to Anne if Jane is Anne's mother's brother's daughter's cousin Anne's. Okay, great. Almost an hour of brain scratching later, I discovered I scored a 76 out of 80 and would most likely qualify for admission to a society of geniuses. It was by no means the worst $18 I'd spent online.
They make you pay $18 to take a fucking IQ test? Why?
No, they make you pay $18 to take the pre-test to the actual IQ test.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So this continues. Here's another jerky thing about Mensa. It's free to take the official proctored test if you're a journalist. It costs lesser mortals $40 in addition to 3 hours of their otherwise perfectly good weekend. Now, most journalists are egomaniacs with inferiority complexes about their paltry salaries who love nothing more than to be told they're geniuses. True. We also have the ability to write about it and spread the gospel of Mensa all over our various publications. Google Mensa, and you'll find countless first-person accounts about taking the test. The best part is when you scroll to the end to find out whether that person passed, and you picture him wrestling with either false modesty or falsely cheerful nonchalance. So yeah, you take $18 to see if you might do well on the other one, and then you pay $40 for the actual test in person.
I don't even know like what Mensa does other than like arrange meetings and like hang out with each other. So I feel like is this just how they pay to like get lunch at restaurants and shit? I
don't think they really do anything other than like hand out like cards that say you're in Mensa.
I mean, at least one of those guys is probably doing like fucking like nightly chivalrous bullshit, right? Like maybe he's going jousting or something. I feel like at least one of them has some hobbies outside of Mensa.
Maybe I'm not so sure, but I think the members themselves are the ones who like organize shit. I don't know if like Mensa as a whole really does anything other than kind of just, you know, like.
Do you think that when they go to Outback Steakhouse, the person with like the lowest IQ at the table is like, oh, you're gonna pay like the biggest cut of our dinner or something like that?
Yeah. It's like the Simpsons episode where like Bart gets sent to the smart kids school because he like steals Lisa's tests, and they're like, well, would you like to exchange 1 picometer of your milk for one gill of mine? Yeah, yeah, you're tricked.
Indeed.
Right.
Yes, cromulous.
Yes, indeed.
Quite.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So continuing. I'll spare you most of the details about the test. The highlights. It was in a public library in Odenton, Maryland at 9 Yeah, so it is. This is definitely the D.C. metro area.
Okay.
At 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and the group of test takers was the most diverse group of people I've ever seen in one room. The proctor wore a Hawaiian shirt and told us he was sure we'd all pass. He handed out Mensa pencil. Okay, so just as a quick aside, the most diverse group of people I've ever seen in one room. I think she means by like clothing and schlubbiness. I don't think she means like.
I was just about to say like I don't think like fucking Lancelot is like rolling in his grave about like no it can't be the other races, no their skulls are not the right shape.
One guy wore a Hawaiian shirt and another guy wore a suit. They were all white, mostly guys. All right, so he handed out Mensa pencils. I was thrilled when we got to keep them, and informed us he was a member of a SIG called BLAM, which stands for Blazing Lightly Armored Mensans. Once a month, he goes to a shooting range in Virginia with fellow Mensans, and then retires to a nearby Denny's where he and his friends eat until we're sick.
I think it says lightly armed Mensans, but I was just about to make the same joke about like, oh, maybe one of these guys is like going to meetings with like his +1 leather studded armor or something like that.
Yeah, he can only wear light armor because his intelligence score is too high. He doesn't have the required class or strength score to wear medium.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that proficiency.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I love that. Like that's So we have a bunch of weird Mensan gun guys, and just in the typical taste of the extremely intelligent, gentle, sir. They all go to fucking Denny's, like, of all places.
I was joking about the Outback Steakhouse, but I feel like that would be a step up.
Yeah, when you said that, I was gonna do some exposition, but I wanted to wait until this all came out.
Also, I just have to say, this has like unlocked a little bit of a memory for me when I read Blam, the blazing, lightly armed Mensans, and I'm like, what do they mean by blazing? Is it just like you're shooting the gun so it blazes or something? And it brought me to a little bit of a flashback of like when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I was like, I hung out in some like tiny little like online forum or something, and I think my username was like flaming something, because I was like, oh cool, I'm like on fire. That fire is a cool thing, right? And I had like flaming in my username, and I did not realize at the time, because I was 6 or 7, that like, oh, that's like a word for being flamboyantly gay.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where are we at here? Okay. Around a month later, I got a letter informing me that I qualified for admission, as long as I was happy to shell out the $70 annual membership fee I was in. I asked my editor if I could expense it, for the story. He looked at me with a distinctly suspicious expression. "We'll pay for the first year," he said, "but after that, it's on you."
All of that money is going to Denny's, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's all for the pancakes.
Yeah, $70 a year just so you can flex on the brainlets out there.
You get the most mid-ass fucking pancakes you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah. All right, so Washington is filled with brainiacs. Yeah, I'm sure it fucking is. Where else can you find so many large institutions dedicated to people sitting around and thinking? Now we're starting to belie this person's like fucking DC lib brain rot. Between NIH, NSA, and the CIA and other acronymic organizations, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a PhD. Yet out of the 120,000 people in the area who statistically qualify for Mensa membership, the top 2% here, only about 2,000 are members, meaning the other 118,000 have better things to do. As a Washington Post story put it, Mensa is not just a society for highly intelligent people, it is a society for people who want to belong to a society that tells them they are highly intelligent.
Fucking true.
yeah, absolutely true. But there's something about this paragraph that it like just it kind of makes me like a little bit fucking annoyed with this.
So
author.
as I'm following along here, I want to think like, okay, maybe this is a little bit tongue in cheek, like, oh, look at all these other smart people, like all the fucking like 3-letter agencies or something. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it is like kind of tongue in cheek. It doesn't really come through to me. I think anybody who's a journalist in the fucking DC metro area really like thinks this shit is like all of these institutions are maybe it's a little bit, maybe they do something bad once in a while, and that's what I'm here to report on it, so that they get back to doing all the good things that they do usually, just to defend our freedom and keep us safe. But I don't know. I don't know this author's mind. So
it's a good guess. Like, it definitely makes sense, like considering who the author is. But like without having her skull measurements, we can't really.
Yes,
say for
exactly.
Sure.
We need to see how many bumps are on her skull. But all right. So it continues. And
I'm sorry, I just want to bring up quick. Do you think like the CIA, they've got to have like a phrenology guy on the payroll, right? I feel like maybe.
Yeah, they probably have an 110-year-old guy who is really good at skull measurement.
It's just easier to give him his paycheck every week than to like close that part of the department.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he knows too much. He knows too much about like the eugenics program that they've been doing since like 1964. So they just have to pay him, and they're just like, look at this look at this ISIS guy's skull and tell us like what his IQ is so we can.
He shows up in like one episode of the X-Files to crack a case for Mulder.
Yeah. Yeah, he shows up with like a fucking pocket watch and a monocle, and he's like, well, better get to work. And he just has like a little leather briefcase where it just has all of his like skull measuring and like displacement apparatuses from like the fucking from like the Nazi era.
Yeah. Scully walks in and is like, guys, phrenology, really? That's not a real science. That's been discredited since the whatever. And then it ends up like cracking the case, and it's like, I don't know, Mothman or some shit.
Yeah. He's definitely one of the people they brought in on like Operation Paperclip, and they just like can't. They got like they got the wrong guy, and then they're just like, well, fuck, we can't get rid of this guy because then he's just gonna tell everybody.
Dr. Hans Skull and Measure or whatever.
I'm Dr. Hans Skull and Measure. Yeah, and they're like, fuck. We're supposed to get Hans Skull and not Measure and Shinks.
Right.
Fuck. All right. Well,
all right. Enough German.
All right. So, and yet, like most people who were once teenagers, I've always struggled with feeling like an outsider. I wrote poems in middle school based on Greek mythology and actually showed them to people. I played the Pink Panther theme on clarinet in my school's talent contest while everyone else was singing Spice Girls covers. Not like
that hits
other
a
girls.
little close to home.
Not like other girls. I once tried to learn the entirety of the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by heart because I like a challenge, and I, mistakenly, thought it would be a neat party trick. I'm guarded about my personal space and was enthralled when I learned that at major gatherings, Mensans wear hug dots, stickers that communicate how comfortable they are with being touched by strangers. Though I was alarmed by the eccentricity of the capital M, the newsletter for members of Metropolitan Washington Mensa, I also wondered if I might find a place where I didn't habitually feel like a freak.
Can I say it?
Yeah.
This sounds like autism to me. This sounds like
100%. Yeah, the thing. Yeah, the hug dots. They don't want to be touched by strangers. Like, yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna say, look, I'm gonna be charitable here. If you're going to like some kind of like get together with like an organization, or like you're meeting people at like a convention or something, and they do something like, I don't know, a little thing you wear to show how comfortable you are with different things, I think that's fine. But like paired with everything else we've learned about the membership of Mensa, I'm like, okay, I feel like autism is a very big part of the equation here that we can't brush over.
And I was going to say, these are not like things where that like definitively says like you're just like smarter than everybody else. It just means you have like weird special interests, which is fine, to be clear, but it's not like. I mean, I guess the author isn't saying like, well, I've always been a genius because I discovered the Higgs boson when I was 9. They're just saying like I felt weird because I had weird things. So like maybe this is just kind of like a cover for like I'm in like the autistic person society, but they have to frame it as like. I'm just very intelligent because my IQ is high. And is there an overlap there? I mean, I'm not a...
I feel like Mensa is where all the like not queer autistic people go. I think that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, the queer autistic people, they go to furry conventions.
Yeah, true.
All right, so this continues. All right, the local chapter includes a special interest group for nudists, which didn't appeal to me, and a group for foodies called Gourmensons. Each month, there is a salon of majestic enlightenment in which philosophers and aesthetes get together to debate life's greater meaning at the Olive Garden. There's usually a discussion about the paranormal organized by the Parapsychology SIG and a potluck for new members at someone's house. Are these people capable of going to a restaurant that's not like a shitty chain restaurant? Like they're in fucking DC. Like they're in the DC metro area and they go to fucking Denny's and Olive Garden.
To me, this whole thing reads so much like, oh, this is like an organization for people who hit their midlife crisis in their 30s. You know
Without question. Without question.
Oh, the special interest. It's there in the name, the special interest groups for nudists.
Oh, true. Okay, yeah.
You think people in that group are just like, hey, my hyperfixation is really out of control right now. I mind if I stim them titties or whatever?
Let's be real. It's probably like 45 dudes and then a rotating cast of one woman who gets like creeped out and never comes back.
Yeah, she just couldn't bear to last more than like 40 minutes after they use her ass as like a fidget toy or whatever.
Oh, God. Oh. All right, moving on.
I'm sorry, everyone.
I didn't go to any of these. Instead, I signed up for the Crown Jewel, the 2012 regional gathering at the Hyatt near Dulles Airport. For 3 days each year, about 250 local Mensans get together in conference rooms in Northern Virginia and party. You can tell without even attending that they party because the event has a theme. 2012's was a Renaissance period, and there's karaoke, and even though everyone lives in Washington, most people book hotel rooms. I wonder why. The schedule included a hot tub and pool party on Friday night, a Renaissance man / comely wench contest on Saturday, and an 11 p.m. lecture on potions, lotions, and notions designed to add spice to your love life, titled Passioned M's. There's a lot of like either overtly or vaguely sexual shit here, which I mean not surprising at all.
I'm just cracking up a little bit at the mention of potions, lotions, and notions, because I shit you not, this is a thing being sold at the Goblin Market in the last fucking World of Darkness RPG I played like a week or two ago with my friends.
Yeah. Shit, I wonder if it comes from that or if that's just like a trope that's been around for a while.
I'm gonna ask my GM now, because now I've seen it out in the wild. It's
I'm very curious now.
I also love the dichotomy of like, oh, the Renaissance man / comely wench. Like, this truly is like a society for intellectual equals.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, lay intelligent man of society / ugly ass bitch. Yeah, come to this party, guys. Oh shit, why is this a sausage party? We're already seeing.
You could say it goes in the square hole.
All right. When I arrived, the air in the Hyatt was thick with promise. From the wine gathering beads of condensation in coolers to the frilly red ribbon tied around my schedule, which someone had rolled into a scroll as if it were the Magna Carta. If you've ever seen the episode of HBO's Real Sex, in which the filmmakers go to a swingers convention, i.e. every episode of HBO's Real Sex, it was like that, only with costumes instead of nudity.
I think at the mention of real sex, the author has lost every one of her like Mensa peers. They don't get it.
Well, I mean, like, first of all, this is like, I know you have to kind of like play it up to make an enthralling story of something that might not be that enthralling of a story, but like, this is just like over the top, and yes, have these people had real sex? Maybe, probably not, but
I will say if they have, not to shame anybody for being a virgin, whatever. Everybody has their own circumstances, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe Mensa truly does exist as a group, just for these people to find the only other people they'll be truly happy and compatible with.
Yeah.
Or to use someone's ass as a fidget toy. I don't know.
Yeah, either way. But I mean, I will say that, like, with this mention, I like, if there's one thing that lay intelligent Redditeurs are really into, it's consuming media and referencing media constantly. So,
we would never do that.
I'm gonna edit out my fucking Simpsons reference that I did earlier.
Actually, see, we call that the old Reddit switcheroo.
Hey.
Thanks for the gold, kind stranger.
Hey, we won the internet today, kind folks. Okay.
I
Anyways,
see, a man of culture. Okay. So.
All right. So I got there late on Sunday afternoon when everyone had already made friends at the previous night's hot tub party, which left me feeling...
I bet they did.
Which I bet they didn't, actually. But all right, which left me feeling like the kid in middle school who arrives midway through the semester when all the good desks are taken and everyone makes fun of his haircut. I'd missed the one event I might actually have had a fighting chance at, competitive Sudoku, so I walked through the main recreation room where the smell of hazelnut coffee wafted through the air and people looked up at me in a faintly suspicious way and settled down in the games room, sitting at an empty table and picking up a pen to fill in an abandoned number puzzle. It was one of the loneliest moments in my life.
Yeah, I'd be competing in some competitive Sudoku if I was there as well, in a way.
That's just a sad ass paragraph. Like,
yeah,
you're in.
Yeah, I feel.
Yeah, you're in a convention of like the weirdest motherfuckers on earth, and you still like can't make friends. Like, shit.
Did you ever have this experience where you go to like a dance or prom or something in like school, like middle or high school or whatever, and it's that little period at the start where like they're playing the music but all the girls are on one side and the guys are on the other, and it's like too awkward for them to just like start dancing or whatever?
Oh yeah,
I feel like
the classic 8th grade dance.
I feel like this is like if you could bottle up that feeling, that sensation, that little moment, and then just like experience it as like a 30-something. I feel like that's what this group must be like at times.
Oh shit, man! It must. Yeah, it's a hard cross to bear to be good at fucking puzzles, man. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Anyways, about a half dozen people were playing cryptograms across the room, and just as I was starting to hate myself for being so awkward that I can't even make friends at a Mensa convention, one of them came over and invited me to join in. I was grateful enough that I didn't even care when I lost every game. Cryptograms are hard, and it was my first time, and I was playing with geniuses. I made jokes about how dumb I was, and no one laughed because they were all thinking the same thing. After a few rounds, the group dispersed, and I was alone again. I went back to the main room and poured myself some hazelnut coffee, which tasted like despair. This is fucking sad, man. This is
sad, but also I feel like that is a good coffee. I feel like coffee should taste at least a little bit like despair.
Yes, yeah. So anyways, go to our merch store and get some Super Despair World coffee, which is...
I think we talked about this. We were looking at like a drop shipping service.
Oh,
and
yeah,
we could do Super Despair World branded like coffee beans or some shit, but I don't trust like that.
No, we're not white labeling coffee, although that would be fucking funny.
It would be. Guys, right. If we ever sell coffee, it's going to be picked fresh off the farm by the hands of our most loyal patrons, okay? It'll be the good shit.
Yeah, we're all sending you to a coffee plantation in Nicaragua. We're gonna pay at least half of your room and board. You have to pay the other half out of your salary.
The eccentric expat arc of the show is going to be crazy. Look forward to it.
Yeah, we'll pay for your plane ticket, but you have to like work. You have to work it off.
Exactly one plane ticket.
Yeah, you have to work off your plane ticket the entire time. Which I think is pretty fair. You get a working holiday, but they're 14-hour days, just so you know. All right. Continuing on. In the Rockbridge room across from the hall, a research professor from the Institute for Applied Space Research at George Washington University named Joe Pelton was giving a lecture on megacities, which sounded interesting, or at least more interesting than earning airline miles for the obsessive compulsive, which was going on next door. The air conditioning hummed, and the chairs were those ubiquitous hotel wedding ones with brass legs and red faux velvet seats. Pelton attempted.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
we got a lot left.
Yeah, Pelton attempted to deliver his lecture about megacities and the impact of overpopulation on the environment, but kept getting interrupted by a woman in the front row. We know, Pelton said, that riding a bicycle is far better for the environment than driving a car, and eating chicken is better than eating red meat. Vegetarianism, the woman said, managing to speak both loudly and under her breath. Being a vegetarian is the best. Being a vegetarian is the best. Vegetarianism.
That's what that word means.
That's a certain type of person.
According to Webster's dictionary, vegetarianism is.
Yeah, this is an I'm a surgeon, Dr. Hahn type of moment from one of the incredibly intelligent, high IQ people who goes to a Mensa meeting. Yeah, awesome.
Right.
All right. The lecture was insightful and revealed that if population trends remain the same, the world will have 48 billion people by 2400. I thought about asking a question, raised my hand slightly, then looked around and thought better of it. Yeah, you wouldn't want to just pale in comparison to the woman who just said vegetarianism 30 times. Cutting off a person.
We already had one woman in this conversation. I think that's enough, sweetie.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you go get another hazelnut coffee, sweetheart?
Maybe take a dip at the chocolate pool.
Yeah, there's a guy with a suit of armor in there. He's very intelligent.
And he has a lot of airline miles.
Yeah, he's incredibly good at pictograms. All right, so it goes on at the end of the lecture, a man approached to ask me what my question was. I was looking forward to hearing what you had to say, he said, and seemed genuine. I asked him how long he'd been in Mensa. He told me 45 years and pointed to a Mensa pin on his lapel. Gosh, I said, that's a long time. Has it changed? He paused and his face darkened. Oh, yes, he said. It used to be for everyone. Now it's run by the rich and the well-connected, the people who can afford to have free time, and it's been ruined by political correctness. There are special interest groups for Asians and Hispanics. I wanted to start an SIG for whites only, but corporate Mensa wouldn't let me. Hey,
truly
okay.
Censored by the woke elite who have a lot of money to go to fucking Denny's and Olive Garden.
Yeah, truly. I mean, these are the people that we're talking about, like the absolute cream of the crop of society. I mean, fucking shit. Like, clearly, if you're really good at solving like fucking pattern puzzles, you have a really good consciousness about the world around you.
Fucking 45 years as a Mensa member. I have to say, I keep going back to like the D&D like comparison here, but like, when it comes to like most hobbies or pursuits or whatever, when you hear somebody say like, oh, I've been doing this for like 10-15 years or something, your immediate assumption is like, oh, you must be like pretty smart and pretty good at it by now. But like whenever I hear somebody say like, oh, I've been playing D&D since the 80s, I'm like, oh, you are probably like vaguely racist and out of touch. And I get
without
this
question.
45-year Mensa member like, oh, it's like that but up to 11, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is like the typical type of person, and this is exactly what it comes down to. Is there's people who are, you see this with like the STEM bros and the CEOs and the tech bros and the coders and the fucking assholes like that, who think just because they are good, maybe objectively, maybe questionably good at a very specific certain thing, they're just like, well, I am very intelligent. I am very good at coding JavaScript and C++. So apparently that means that every opinion I have now is like about broader society is valid, and you should listen to me. I mean, in the golden example of this is our boy Elon Musk, who's not even good at any of those things. He kind of lucked into
truly a man who represents all the -4 to charisma motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and like Elon Musk is not even good at any of those things. He kind of just lucked into like getting a profitable business and whatever. But there are people who are like good at, whatever, being a surgeon.
Yeah, he took the level 1 diamond mine feat. No, it was emerald mine.
Yeah. He had a perk that was just like having incredibly rich parents. But like at the expense of just like everyone, my children will always hate me. I'm fucking an idiot, and I look
not
like
only will his children hate him, but he keeps making more of them for some reason.
Because that's all you can do to maintain your legacy is you just keep putting your fucking... God, somebody sterilize that motherfucker after, already. Jesus Christ.
In Minecraft. But, at the Mensa meeting.
Yeah, so that's the type of person we're working with here. A very, very intelligent, logical person. Well, there's an Asian SIG, so why can't there be a whites-only one? Logically, it's correct. It's like, God damn, dude, you are a fucking idiot. But anyways,
start up the whites-only Mensa branch for all the other level 4 paladins.
All right, moving on. I retreated to the hotel bar and happily paid for a glass of wine, even though there was free alcohol back in Genius Land. I had a profound feeling of unease, which was amplified when a man clanked over wearing a suit of armor and kissed my hand. Oh, Reddit.
Is this like one guy in a suit of armor, or are we talking about like multiple guys in the suit of armor?
Well, it says a man clanked him, so I'm assuming it's one guy.
Okay, well, all right,
you mean like, is it the guy she mentioned earlier?
Yeah, is there an armored man, or are there like armored men?
Well, she said the other one was chainmail, but we'll see.
Either way,
yeah. He had a round face and a mustache. The polite thing to do seemed to be to ask about his armor, so I did, and he told me he'd had it custom made in California and that it weighed more than 80 pounds. A sword went with it, but he'd left it in his room because people always wanted to touch it and there were kids around, and it was a real sword. The obvious response would have been, "That's what she said," but I restrained myself.
Yeah, this person's right at home.
Yeah, r/antinatalism, and also like, I understand that reference.
Phrasing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Costume wearing Mensans proliferated. And soon we were joined by a 50-something woman in what I could only assume was a comely wench outfit with flared velvet sleeves and a pink bodice. Everyone was excited about the costume contest and the dinner at 6:30 and the karaoke, which followed the Renaissance talent contest. Everything was royal. It all reminded me of reading about the first ever Mensa gathering in November 1946, hosted by Ware and Barrel, where a female member dressed in robes acted as the corps d'esprit queen, and the 5 other assembled members drank wine. The feel of this weekend, the website for which announced a royal game room, a royal banquet, and 2 royal pool parties was distinctly grander than the reality, which was essentially a lot of people in Renaissance outfits and slogan tees hanging out in a chilly conference room near the airport. Yeah.
The more this person describes everybody in their little Renaissance outfits, the more I just feel like this great need for, I don't know, maybe some people have seen it. There's a video online of like a Ren fair where this like big titty like barkeep wench lady like puts a mug of ale between her tits, and like the happiest like autistic nerd you've ever seen is just sitting there like drinking out of it, and it's great. And I wish I was there rather than here listening to this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's also one that I saw at a Ren fair, and it was like a similarly beautiful bar maiden who like holds the drink for you and like makes you chug it, and they're just like, you fucking drink that shit, you little bitch, like fucking drink all that shit up. And
if we ever do a real world super disparalled meetup, look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm down for either of those for sure. All right. Anyways, moving on. Of the two,
get you guys fucked up on my fucking bathtub hooch.
Oh yeah. Bring the bathtub hooch too. Okay, so of the 2,000 or so Mensans in Washington, only about 250 were dedicated enough to have paid the $79 fee plus hotel costs and gathered here today. This was the creme de la creme of high IQ society members. It was a depressing thought, and I bade the night and wench farewell and drove back to D.C. as fast as I could, pausing only to ponder why the experience had left me so uncomfortable. Once again, I was an outsider, only this time the problem wasn't that I was a poetry writing, clarinet playing oddball, but that for once, I actually wasn't odd enough. So she bounced.
I would have bounced earlier probably, unless I was there to do like content for the show, in which case I would have stuck it out and endured as much as possible.
And I think that's the only reason she stayed as long as she did. I think if she was just there on her own accord, it wouldn't have lasted that long either. Mm-hmm. But okay, all right. Moving on here. I attended one more Mensa meetup, and it was in my apartment building. A well-meaning new Mensan who lives a few floors down had volunteered to host the monthly new member get-together in our community room, which meant that as a semi-legitimate reporter, the only way I could not go would be if I had 2 broken legs and smallpox. The crowd was smaller this time. The guy in my building told me my bangs made me look like the actress Zooey Deschanel. See, callback.
See, called it. I called it.
Yep, which was nice.
There we go.
But then an older married couple came over and told us that they'd met in Mensa and that we would make a great couple too. I told them I was already married, and then we stood around in awkward silence. To distract myself, I focused on the gorgeous curly blonde ringlets of the person sitting in front of me and was startled when the person turned around and had a full beard and was a man. I had the same... Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'll jump in later.
I had the same uneasy feeling of being an outlier, misfit among misfits. I made my excuses and went home, which this time took less than 30 seconds. I mean, that's nice at least.
When I hear like this older couple that met within Mensa, my mind jumped to like, oh, they're gonna make some weird comment about like, oh, you look very fertile. I hope somebody breeds you soon or something like that.
So, according to biology and to evolutionary biology, you are in the prime breeding era of your life. It looks to me like you are between the ages of 22 and 27, which means you should find someone to seed you immediately, so that hopefully a person of similarly high IQ, so that we could have a super race of intelligent white people.
Yes, you seem like quite the comely wench of the Germanic phenotype stock. I think, would you like to attend the whites only Mensa meeting for further info?
Yeah, it's very exclusive. The society won't let me officially have it, but... All right, so given the hazelnut coffee, the puzzles, and the sexual undercurrent at both Mensa events I attended, it may not come as a surprise that I let my membership lapse earlier this year. Leaving Mensa isn't all that hard, unlike, say, Scientology. I get emails and letters every now and again which range from plaintive to jocular. One hints that I can lose weight by maintaining my membership. which feels both untrue and insulting. There seems to be a sense of anxiety proliferating among members nationwide and their leaders at the Texas headquarters. The newsletter expresses pleas to encourage friends to take the test because Metropolitan Washington Mensa regularly loses and regains its position as the second largest chapter nationwide, after New York, naturally, to Chicago. If it weren't for all the genius toddlers continually qualifying for Mensa and being written up in their local newspapers, it's unlikely you'd hear about the organization at all. Aw, man.
How do you get into Mensa as a fucking toddler? Are you just like, oh, you're really good at the block stacking puzzle? You can do it in like under 20 seconds.
Yeah, and that's the thing about these types of people is they're obsessed with the tale of the prodigy. They love prodigies. They love this like myth of prodigies, because it really drives home this idea that like, you're just like, some people are just born better than others. And
it's this idea that you are born special to help you cope with the realization throughout your life that you aren't. You know?
Exactly. And it comes down to like it also ties into this like kind of like low key like eugenics movement where it's just like, well, if only we got rid of these lesser thans and only bred like high IQ, intelligent gentlesers and comely wenches, then society would be fine. And that's why Mensa needs to exist. It's like the UN. And the only way to avoid World War III and the destruction of humanity in general is for all of these people who are really good at block puzzles to breed with each other and breed out all of the idiots with like, you know, skills like being able to do normal things.
There's a nuke headed to Washington, and for some reason it can only be disarmed by solving these Sudoku puzzles. Oh, what are we gonna do? And then a guy in like shining armor busts through the door like, I'll save you all.
Oh, that would be a good comic, actually.
That would be.
All right, so so will Mensa survive in an era when congregating with like-minded people is as simple as clicking a mouse? Maybe. For hardcore members and not just people like me who want a coffee mug, the human interaction is key. I asked American Mensa Executive Director Pamela Donahue why she thinks people are drawn to it. We find people join just to join because their third grade teacher said they would never amount to anything, she said. They need some sort of validation, and then they realize all of a sudden there's also this group of people in Mensa who are really fun. So why people join and why people stay are very different reasons. So like,
yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, that goes exactly like it's just people who have something to prove to somebody who like said they weren't smart enough fucking 30 fucking years ago.
I'm gonna guess at least a few people stay because their chainmail gets encumbered by all that chocolate.
Oh yeah. Once it gets in between the chinks in the armor, it's over for these.
Whoa, you can't say that. We're not in the right special interest group.
Oh right, yeah, shit, fuck. All right,
I'm sorry. Wait, was that over the line? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm. Okay. All right. Let's
wrap it up.
Yeah. Let's close this out. These are the last two paragraphs. All right. Donahue knows there will always be people like me who join out of curiosity or because they want to put the Mensa magazines on their coffee table. That's a perfectly good reason. And if that's all you want and it helps to make you feel good, then great, she says. But if you can get something additional out of it, that's good too. We aim to challenge and engage learners at any age and welcome them to an organization that really recognizes and celebrates their giftedness. In my case, playing cryptograms with geniuses made me feel like the dumbest person in the room. But at least I have my pencil, my mug, and my lapsed membership card for consolation, as well as a newfound understanding of carbon reduction in cities. As a popular Mensa t-shirt says, talk nerdy to me.
Just hearing the words of this like executive admin person or whatever, it's like, yeah, I feel like the people at the top know that this whole thing is just bullshit.
Oh,
for,
without
weird,
like
people.
that's such a like bullshit like PR statement there, like for sure. It's just like, yeah, it's mostly for people who like, it's cool, but like, you know, it could be something more, but we know it's not. But like if it is, that's cool. But anyways, pay the $70 a month, please.
I just love the whole like also the sexual undercurrent of all of this. I don't know if you saw the story, but I think it was like sometime in the last couple of years. I know it was like a big hubbub on Twitter for a while. Do you remember the like white like eugenicsy op-ed think piece parents who are like, we're raising our genetically perfect kids to be the cream of the crop. We're intelligent people, and we're going to breed as many kids as possible for the good of society. And it was these fucking like, it was like a very pale like scrawny white guy in like a turtleneck, and like this girl that looks like one of like the evil women from like a Bond movie or something. They just had like the weirdest vibes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I actually do. And the funny, it's always the people who are like, we need to like uphold the sanctity of like the supreme white race, and it's always like the crustiest looking motherfucker on the planet. And it's like, yeah, man, like you think in your mind, it's like reverse body dysmorphia, where they think they're the dude in the Nazi Aryan propaganda poster, like cradling a child.
I'm just gonna send this to you in DMs real quick. I don't think we'll put it up in the episode, maybe, but I finally found the photo. Meet the elite couples breeding to save mankind, and this looks like it's worse than I remember.
They look like fucking children. They look like if you dressed up
This is like the sophomore Republicans club at every high school. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's like putting a suit on a child, and he has jeans on, and it's
also just for your consideration. I need you to know that when I searched the exact phrase "weird eugenics couple," the like top 5 or 6 image results were all of these people.
I do love when I'm like, fuck shit, like this is a very tentative search query to find this like weird meme I'm thinking of, and it's just like, oh yeah, everybody else had the same idea when they
I misspoke. It's not the top 5 results, it's like the top like 19 or 20 results.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, still
I'm glad we're on the same page. Anyway, I feel like these people are like the elite of Mensa, who are probably at least getting their rocks off in some way.
Oh yeah, for sure. They might have met in the chocolate fondue hot tub party.
I think these people met in the unofficial whites only special interest group.
Yeah, and I truly wonder what really important jobs they do in Silicon Valley. I'm sure one of them is like a COO of a company that is trying to disrupt an industry that's perfectly fine, and the other one's like a fucking who the fuck knows, just some
the fucking level asshole. 6 Sudoku knight takes off his helmet and it's just this guy.
yeah exactly. Yeah, it's like fucking Fallout, and the guy in like the incredibly dope power armor just like takes his helmet off, and it's just like the fucking most raggedy fucking scrawny loser you've ever seen, just like, get this armor off me, frick. Shit, I'm hot. It
reminds me of another time I saw like an article on Twitter once that it was some like right-wing chud shit. It was like, why are liberals and left-leaning people such losers? And then it was like, this is a photo of the person who wrote it, and it was like this guy who looks like he's 12 years old or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. How do we feel about Mensa overall?
Yeah, okay, overall, last thoughts. It's fucking stupid. It's a society that basically just preys on like people's intrinsic need for self superiority, and that can come in a lot of different ways, but like, hey, here's a good angle. I mean, you could join a group that if you're an insecure fucking loser, you could join one that's just like, oh, I'm white and white is right and we're the master race and whatever, or you know, like there's all sorts of different ones. This one is based on being really good at a test where you solve puzzles. So like, yeah, I'm the puzzle master, therefore it means I am like overall just like an incredibly smart person, and other lesser thans pale in comparison to my
the more we dwell on the puzzle thing, the more the little Wikipedia history bit I read at the start just becomes funnier and funnier, where fucking Lancelot Ware says, I do get disappointed that so many members spend so much time solving puzzles.
Yeah, what the fuck do you expect? Your test is about puzzles. Shit.
Wow,
man.
I can't believe this is what happens when you make the organization like solving a puzzle is how you get in. I think you're gonna self-select for people who like puzzles.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like I mean, it's like fucking Sneeko, who makes his entire platform on being like, yo, women are fucking stupid, bro. And then he meets like his like fucking 8-year-old Twitch fans. And they're
and
like,
just a bunch of kids like jumping up and down and screaming
and
about comely wenches.
Yo, bitches are stupid. And he's like, whoa, shit, man. Yo, why are all my fans fucking 12? And
shocked Pikachu.jpg.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, fuck all these people. Fuck Mensa fuck the IQ test. All of these things as a
fuck Mensa, but also hopefully don't fuck Mensans.
Don't fuck Mensans. It's probably like anybody who has, please hit us up. I'd love to hear the story. We'll have you on the pod. I want to hear the story of you fucking a Mensa.
The more I think about the fucking chocolate fondue hot tub, I'm just like, man, that would be like the nastiest chocolate you've ever tasted. Like imagining these guys taking a dip in there.
Yeah, I like at the same time I don't think they would do that because it would be a texture thing, you know. It feels too icky on the skin.
Yeah, and there's just one guy in the back of the room like, it should have been white chocolate.
All right, I think that's a perfect one to end on.
All right. Hey guys, speaking of some very elite and esteemed, intelligent individuals, we have a list of such people ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, the measure of self-worth from something like the IQ test or the SAT, or you know how many fucking bicep curls you can do, that's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. All of these institutions, they're made by people who can do that thing that they created, and they try to measure everybody else's worth based on this. This, however, is an objective measure of self-worth, and it's being in the Super Despair World patron fucking list. And let me tell you right now, the people who deserve accolades for being better than you, if you're not on this list.
I think as you say each person's name, you should also read out their IQ number. This is data that we actually have on Patreon.
Yeah, well, they're actually all the maximum amount of IQ, so which is 300.
I thought it was actually 420, but
yeah, 420, 69 big chungus. Epic style. We dabbing on these hoes. All right, anyways.
I'm giving that Reddit gold.
All right, anyways, here are the 420 IQ people who are definitely making the right choice in life. And if you're not on here, you're not. So all right, so we got Braid 0, we got Dimbus, we got Weasel, we got Nick, Nilly, Heresy, Protagon, Clam, Shalom Guy, Trash Bins, Trevor, Stilson, Walker, and Woke Baby. God damn. Combine all those IQs together, and the IQ-o-meter it's got smoke coming out of it.
I feel like all of our patrons could gather in a circle and put their fingers to their foreheads and concentrate and just like make someone's head explode. You know what I mean? Like this is the level of psychic power that we're operating with.
Yeah, we should actually do that in the Discord. Is get all the patrons in there in a patron only Discord VC channel, and we all just kind of concentrate.
We'll just astral project to Washington D.C. It'll be a great meetup.
Yeah, we can find the armor guy and at least steal his armor.
I'll bring the chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah, just 300 pounds of chocolate.
Exactly. Guys, thanks so much for supporting the show. It really means the world to us. No promises, because I don't know how much information is actually out there about these groups, but next bonus episode, stay tuned. I'm going to see if we can dig up anything on these more advanced genius societies that have even higher IQ requirements than Mensa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's more.
There's more. We have to go deeper.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, that's all we got for this week. Once again, thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Word. Fucking A. Good fight. Good night.